All right, let's talk about something that is fundamentally changing how we think about making software. It's called Generative Product Evolution, or GPE for short. And honestly, it's a completely new way of looking at development now that we have AI. And it all kicks off by asking this one really provocative question.
Just let that sink in for a second. I mean, for as long as we've been doing this, code has been everything, right? It's the foundation, the main event, the thing we spend all our time on. But what if it's not? What if it's just the last little piece of the puzzle? Stick with me here, because what we're about to explore is going to flip your whole understanding of development completely upside down.
So, to really get where we're going, we've got to first take a quick look at where we've been. The good old-fashioned way of building software.
For decades, the software development lifecycle has pretty much looked like a pyramid, built from the ground up. And the whole vibe is just heavy construction. It's slow, it's methodical, and it's built on this huge, super labor-intensive foundation.
Okay, now this is where it gets really telling. Look at where all the effort goes. A massive 50% of all our time, all our resources, is poured into the base of that pyramid. We're talking writing code, testing, fixing bugs. Then another 30% goes into just the architecture. So what's left? That leaves a tiny 20% right at the very tip for the actual idea, the user experience. The most important part gets the least amount of attention, all because that foundation is so darn expensive to build.
But what happens when the cost of building that foundation just plummets to almost zero? Well, this is where AI walks onto the stage and, changes absolutely everything.
That's right. Artificial intelligence is taking that entire structure we just talked about, and it is literally flipping it on its head.
And this slide, wow, this just illustrates the new reality perfectly. We are shifting from being a builder, focused on laying code brick by tedious brick, to being an architect. In this new inverted pyramid, the foundation isn't code anymore, not at all. The foundation is this huge, wide-open exploration of what the product means, of simulations, of the user experience. We're not just building a thing anymore, we're designing and discovering the best possible reality for our users. And just look at this reversal. It's incredible. Now a whopping 80% of our effort is spent at the top, in that big creative space of meaning and simulation. Design and figuring out the details take up about 15%. And code generation, the thing that used to eat up half our time, it's now the final 5%. It's the tiny point of the pyramid, not the massive base. So the vibe just completely changes, right? We're leaving behind that heavy construction feel and moving into something you could call an intellectual funnel. We start super wide, exploring thousands of potential user experiences in a virtual space. And then we funnel all of that learning down and down until it crystallizes into the one single best implementation, which of course, an AI then just generates for us. Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing in theory, right, doesn't it? But what does it actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Let's break down how this whole generative product evolution thing really works. It really comes down to 3 key practices. First up, agent simulations. So instead of us just guessing, we literally unleash hundreds of AI agents, each with a different personality, to test out our ideas. Second, there's generative UX. We don't just design one interface, we let an AI create and test dozens of different versions automatically to see which one works best. And third, semantic modeling. This is where we use large language models to dig through feedback and find the unspoken needs, the real pain points, before we even start designing a solution. I mean, this is where the magic really happens. Imagine you can create a digital skeptic persona that's programmed to find every single flaw, or a hurried manager persona that's going to bail on your app if it's not super efficient. You get this incredible heat map of all the friction points in your product before you've spent a single second actually coding it. It's a game changer. And when you put all this together, you get the formal definition of GPE. It's a totally new way of working where our job isn't to just build from some static blueprint anymore. No, our role becomes managing an evolutionary process. It's like we're breeding the best possible product by creating an environment where only the very fittest ideas can survive. So this whole methodology really stands on 3 powerful pillars. You've got synthetic selection, where the AI agents basically act as the force of natural selection for our ideas. Then there's morphic prototyping, this idea that the product doesn't have a fixed shape while we're exploring. It's constantly changing and adapting. And finally, my favorite, algorithmic condensation.
It's this simple but profound idea that code is the final step. It's just the condensed artifact of everything we learned along the way.
So what does this all mean for the future? I mean, if we're not just building features anymore, what are we building? The answer is, well, it's a huge shift in what we focus on.
This right here is the slogan from the GPE manifesto, and man, it just perfectly captures the new philosophy. Our job isn't to sweat over the design of every little feature. Our job is to design a rich, competitive environment where, through all the simulation and selection, the best possible experience can just emerge, all on its own.
And that brings us right back to the beginning, full circle. In this new, inverted world, code is finally put in its proper place. It's not the goal, it's not the thing we spend all our blood, sweat, and tears on. It's simply the side effect, the byproduct, the almost automatic result of a really deep, meaningful search for the perfect user experience. Which, of course, leaves us with one last, really big question to think about. If AI is handling the building, the testing, the coding, the optimizing, what's left for us to do? What is the new, uniquely human role in a world of generative product evolution?
Have you ever stopped to think about what happens to us, the creators, the designers, the developers, when AI gets so good it can build entire products by itself? Well, it's not the end of the story for human creativity. It's actually a promotion. We're shifting from being the hands-on builders to becoming the architects of entirely new realities. So let's break down what that massive transformation really looks like.
We are right in the middle of this huge shift. For decades, our role in tech was pretty clear. We were the builders. We were the ones laying the digital bricks, writing every line of code, meticulously putting every single feature together. But that's all changing. Now we're becoming architects, the ones who design the blueprints for incredible new realities that an AI can then bring to life for us.
So what exactly happened to cause such a massive shift? To really get it, we need to take a quick look at the old way we used to build things, and then see how AI has just completely flipped the script.
First up, let's rewind the clock a bit. For the longest time, product development has followed this model we can call the old development pyramid, where, most of the work, the real heavy lifting, happened at the bottom. In this old model, the base of the pyramid, the biggest, heaviest part, was all about implementation. This was all the painstaking, hands-on, nitty-gritty work of writing code and actually building the features. Most of our time, our energy, our brain power was spent right there, totally focused on the how of building something.
But now, generative AI is coming in and flipping that entire pyramid completely upside down. And this creates a whole new way of creating things, something we can call Generative Product Evolution, or GPE for short. And believe me, it changes everything about where we focus our efforts.
And you can really see that change here. That massive chunk of human effort, maybe 80% of it, that used to be totally consumed by implementation, it's now being reallocated. It's shifting all the way to the top of the new inverted pyramid, to meaning, to strategy, and to design. The why and the what suddenly become our main job, not the how.
And the reason for this incredible flip is that generative AI makes the act of coding almost, cheap. It becomes a commodity. It's something that can be done instantly and at a massive scale, which frees up all our human brain power for much, much higher level thinking.
So if we're not the primary builders anymore, what are we? Well, this radical shift gives birth to a powerful new identity for this new era, the architect of realities.
So what is an architect of realities? Think of it this way. It's someone who takes a step back from the keyboard to focus on the huge picture. Their job is to set the vision, to define what a product should actually mean to the people using it, and then to guide an AI as it does the building.
Okay, so what does an architect like this actually do all day? It's not just about dreaming things up. Their work can be broken down into a whole new toolkit of core responsibilities. Let's walk through them.
All right, the first core responsibility, and this one is huge, is to design meaning. Before a single line of code is ever generated by an AI, the architect is busy building the conceptual soul of the product. They're defining its core ideas and figuring out how everything relates to everything else.
And this is all about deep, deep empathy. It's not about just making a list of features. The architect works with the AI to uncover the real, often unspoken problems that users are facing. They map out the why long before the AI ever gets to the how.
The second responsibility is a really fascinating one, managing evolutionary selection. The whole metaphor here shifts from construction to something more like Gardening. You're not building a single fixed object. You're cultivating an environment where the absolute best solution can emerge and grow.
This whole process works a lot like natural selection. You don't just hand the AI a single, rigid blueprint. Instead, you design a competitive environment. You set the rules of the game, and you let countless versions of the product compete against each other. The AI's job is to find the fittest version, the one that solves the user's needs best. That's the one that survives.
What? Okay, where does all this evolution even happen? You can't just test thousands of product versions on real people. And that brings us to the third responsibility: architecting the simulations where all this competition can safely take place. A key part of this is creating what are called synthetic user personas. For example, you might create a digital skeptic, an AI whose only mission is to find every confusing button and every usability flaw. Or you might create a hurried manager persona to test how well the product works when someone is really stressed and under pressure. And we're not talking about a couple of tests here. The architect unleashes thousands of these synthetic users, each living a little digital life inside the product. They push it to its absolute limits in ways no human quality assurance team ever could, finding every possible bug and every single friction point.
This fourth responsibility, I'll admit, sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but it is a very real and very powerful new capability. The architect has to become a director of what we could call the experience multiverse.
This is sometimes called morphic prototyping. Instead of building just one checkout flow, the AI can generate and test dozens of parallel versions at the exact same time. One might have 3 steps, another one could have one-click buying. You get the idea. It's like exploring every possible timeline of your product all at once.
And again, the architect's role here isn't to build each and every one of these scenarios. Their job is to be the director, guiding the AI's exploration, setting the parameters for the experiment, and then watching to see which version turns out to be the most evolutionarily fit.
Okay, so the AI has explored a multiverse of options and it's found the fittest solutions. This brings us to the final and maybe the most human part of the architect's job: crystallizing the final vision. The human architect becomes this crucial final filter. The AI can present a flood of data, thousands of successful prototypes, endless possibilities. But it is the architect's job to apply those uniquely human qualities, wisdom, intuition, strategic vision, to take all of that input and crystallize it into one single coherent product.
Ultimately, this is the key takeaway. The human is no longer the bricklayer, they are the intellectual driver. They use AI to build wide, to explore every single possibility in a virtual space, just to make sure that the final product that gets built hits the target perfectly in the real world.
You see, this shift from builder to architect, it's not just a change in a job title. It's a fundamental redefinition of what human creativity even is in this digital age. And it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. If AI is going to handle a building, what new realities will you choose to architect?